Okay, so you want to talk about Harry and Meghan, huh? Buckle up, because this thing is a roller coaster. I mean, seriously, did anyone think it would end any other way? This whole saga has been brewing for years, right? From the moment Meghan, an American actress, stepped into the royal family, it was clear things were going to be different. And different isn't always what the monarchy wants, is it? Look, let's be honest. The royal family is like this ancient, creaky institution. And Meghan, well, she's a modern woman, a driven, ambitious woman with her own ideas and a whole different perspective. And Harry, well, he was caught right in the middle, trying to balance his family loyalty with his love for Meghan and their desire to forge their own path. It was a recipe for disaster, plain and simple. And now here we are. King Charles has finally pulled the plug, stripped them of their HRH titles, her Royal Highness. It's a big deal, symbolically at least, practically. I don't know how much it really changes their day-to-day lives in Montecito, but it's a clear message from the palace. Well, you're out. You're no longer representing us. Well, the official story, of course, is that this was about integrity and the future of the monarchy, blah, blah, blah. It's PR, speak for. They were embarrassing us. And let's not pretend they weren't, okay? Well, the interviews, the documentaries, the constant complaining about their treatment, it all added up to a pretty unflattering picture of the royal family. And Charles, he's trying to shore up the monarchy's reputation after all the scandals and drama over the years. He's got to project strength and stability. And Harry and Meghan just weren't fitting into that narrative. But here's the thing. It wasn't just Charles. Word is Prince William was a major driving force behind this decision. Apparently, he'd reached his breaking point. He saw Meghan and Harry's actions as a direct threat to the monarchy's survival. And William's always been the more traditional one, the one who's always put duty first. So it makes sense that he'd be the one pushing for this kind of drastic action. And the timing, that's always key, isn't it? It seems like the final straw was the rumor of another tell-all documentary, one that was going to dig into the royal finances. Well, that's a line you just don't cross with the royals. They're notoriously secretive about their money, and they're not going to let anyone poke around in their accounts. So that's when William, Camilla, and the top advisors reportedly told Charles, enough is enough. Now, over in Montecito, the reaction was probably explosive. I mean, can you imagine Meghan, reportedly caught on camera by her own documentary crew, whispering, "He wouldn't dare." And Harry pacing the kitchen, red-faced and furious. It's like a scene from a reality show, except it's real life and it involves the British monarchy. But here's where it gets interesting. This wasn't just a press release, a symbolic slap on the wrist. This was a legal and constitutional act. Well, Charles had apparently been consulting with constitutional experts for months, drafting a royal decree in secret. By the time the news broke, it was irreversible. And that's a pretty powerful move, right? It shows that Charles was serious. He wasn't just trying to appease the press or silence his critics. He was making a permanent change to the royal landscape. The Sussex experiment, as they called it, was officially over. And how do you think this is going to affect their brand? I mean, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex title carried a certain prestige, a certain cachet. Without it, they're just Harry and Meghan. Celebrities in California, sure, they're still famous, still wealthy, but they've lost that royal magic. And that's gotta hurt, especially for Meghan, who's always been so strategic about her image. So Meghan's not gonna take this lying down, right? I mean, come on, this is Meghan Markle we're talking about. She's got this whole Operation Phoenix thing going on, which, let's be real, is just a fancy name for her revenge media plan. She wants to control the narrative, strike back at the palace. And you know what? I kind of respect it. She's not gonna let them define her. She's gonna define herself. The first step, rebrand, ditch the Duchess of Sussex, and go full Meghan Markle, the woman, the movement. It's all about empowerment, girl power, and sticking it to the man, or in this case, the monarchy. But the palace isn't stupid. They knew something was coming. They're bracing for impact, getting ready for Meghan to turn her pain into content. And she will. And Hollywood, they're starting to get nervous. Some people are backing away. Royal adjacent stuff is suddenly toxic, which is hilarious because for years it was pure gold. Now it's like, oh no, we don't want to get involved in that mess. Meanwhile, Harry's reportedly devastated. He's calling his dad, getting no answer. He's realizing that this title wasn't just about prestige. It was about his family, his identity. It's like losing his mom all over again. And that's where the cracks start to show, right? Meghan's furious, Harry's heartbroken. They're on different pages, and that tension, that's going to be a problem. Meghan starts leaking stuff to the press, trying to paint herself as the victim. But the palace is pushing back, reminding everyone that this wasn't sudden, that Harry and Meghan were warned. Well, it's a PR war. Plain and simple. She wants a big sit-down interview, and Oprah too. But the networks are hesitant. They've seen the backlash. People are tired of the drama, and then boom, William steps in. He makes a rare private appearance before parliamentary advisors. He's not just backing the title removal, he's defending it. He's becoming the protector of the monarchy. And Meghan, she sees red. She thinks he's behind everything. So she goes on the offensive, pitching a documentary about women silenced by institutions. It's her way of turning her feud into a cause. But the palace is ready. They've commissioned a report, a detailed review of everything the Sussexes have said and done since leaving royal life. It's a shield, a way to prove that they acted out of necessity, not cruelty. They're playing chess, and the stakes are incredibly high. It's not just about titles anymore, it's about survival. Meghan unleashes her first strike. They can take a title, but they'll never take my truth. The internet explodes. But behind that single post is a whole campaign, meticulously timed and heavily funded. Well, she's winning the narrative war in the US. But William's facing a storm inside the palace. Some people are worried that they've gone too far, that the king's move looked vindictive. William's stuck between a rock and a hard place. Well, he wants to defend his family, but he also has a duty to the crown. Then a leaked recording surfaces. It appears to show one of Meghan's staffers bragging about pushing William into the villain edit. The palace seizes the opportunity. They start releasing stories about William's attempts to reconcile with Harry. The tide begins to turn. Meghan's campaign is starting to look calculated to Hollywood, and her power starts to slip. In Montecito, she's reportedly furious. Well, she blames everyone. But deep down, she knows this isn't working. William walks into a meeting, calm and relieved. He says, "The truth always wins, even when it's quiet." But Meghan's not finished. Well, she's preparing one final, desperate move. One that could destroy everything. The days following Meghan's silence are eerie. Well, she's planning one last gambit to rewrite the narrative. A Hollywood insider leaks a pitch deck for a new documentary. A woman silenced by power reclaiming her identity. It's Meghan Markle, the sequel. At first, it seems like her boldest play yet, but there's a fatal flaw. The world has changed. People are tired of the same story. Well, even some of her Hollywood friends are distancing themselves. Nobody wanted to be the next headline in Meghan's comeback crusade. Well, she'd become radioactive. Still, Meghan presses on. But just as her campaign starts to gain traction, the palace strikes in a way that's utterly devastatingly calm. Well, family website updates its page. The names Harry, Duke of Sussex, and Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, are gone. In their place, two simple entries appear. Prince Henry, Charles Albert David, Meghan Markle. No fanfare, no flourish, just finality. Well, the monarchy had spoken. Not with noise, but with silence. And the world heard it loud and clear within Montecito. It's gotta be pure chaos, right? I mean, all those carefully crafted plans, the media strategies, the global empowerment campaign, all of it just kinda imploded. You can just picture Meghan losing it, yelling at her PR team, demanding answers, and probably firing a few people along the way. And Harry? Oh man, I feel kind of bad for the guy. He's caught between a rock and a hard place. He loves his wife, but he's also got this deep-seated connection to his family, to his heritage. And now it's like he's lost both. He's not really a royal anymore, but he's not really a regular guy either. He's just stuck. The thing that really gets me is the palace's response, or lack thereof. They just quietly erased them from the website. Well, no drama, no accusations, just gone. It's cold, but it's also kind of brilliant. It shows that they're not going to engage in this petty back and forth anymore. They're just going to move on. And the fact that it's William calling the shots now, or at least heavily influencing them, that's huge. It's a sign that he's ready to take the reins, that he's serious about protecting the monarchy, even if it means sacrificing his relationship with his brother. You know, I think Meghan underestimated the power of the institution. Well, she thought she could outsmart them, outmaneuver them, but she didn't realize that the monarchy is like this giant, unmovable object. It's been around for centuries, and it's not going to be toppled by one American actress, no matter how famous or ambitious she is. And the whole truth narrative. That's what really backfired on her, I think. People are tired of hearing about her truth. They want her to move on, to do something else, to stop complaining about the royals. Well, it's like, okay, we get it. You had a bad experience, but you're rich, you're famous. You're living in a mansion in California. Get over it. And the media, they're fickle, man. One minute they're building you up, the next minute they're tearing you down. Meghan learned that the hard way. Well, she thought she could control them, but they ended up controlling her. Honestly, I don't see a way back for them. Well, they've burned too many bridges, alienated too many people. They might be able to salvage their careers, make some money in Hollywood, but they'll never be royals again. That chapter is closed. And you know what? Maybe that's for the best. Maybe they're better off without the monarchy. Maybe they can finally be themselves, live their lives on their own terms, without all the restrictions and scrutiny. But it's going to be tough. They're going to have to reinvent themselves, find a new purpose, a new identity, and that's not easy, especially when you've been defined by your royal titles for so long. Well, the thing is, this whole saga just shows how out of touch the monarchy is. They're stuck in the past, clinging to tradition, while the world is changing around them. And if they don't adapt, if they don't modernize, they're going to become irrelevant. But Meghan and Harry, well, they went about it the wrong way. They were too aggressive, too confrontational. They should have tried to work within the system to change it from the inside. But they didn't. Well, they chose to go to war with the monarchy, and they lost. So what's next? I don't know. Well, maybe they'll fade into obscurity, become just another celebrity couple in California. Or maybe they'll find a way to reinvent themselves, to make a difference in the world. But one thing's for sure, the royal family will keep on, keeping on. Well, they'll weather this storm, just like they've weathered all the others. Because that's what they do. They're the monarchy. Well, they endure.